My name is Prince Apollo. Every Saturday, we sit to analyze the big events of the week, and the panel gives us that deep reflection on the major events which made headlines within the week. Welcome. You can be part of this discussion. Go to our channels and share your opinions and observations on the topics at hand. Dr. Geopolitics Wanzara, public policy researcher, Richard Baguma Tinkasimire are all in the studios this morning. Quite a very busy week we've had, and big events indeed within this week. It is the 25th of May, and it is Africa Liberation Day, celebrating the anniversary of the founding of the OAU, but of course remembering the fathers of liberation of Africa, the Kwame Nkrumahs of this world, Julius Nyerere, and others. And we join the Pan-Africanists across the world to celebrate Africa Liberation Day. But looking at the big topics this week, quite a huge list, and looking at what is happening on Kampala streets, the mugging and the terror by the thugs now who are taking over the streets. It's quite concerning. And looking at what is in Parliament, as a section of MPs move to censure 4 parliamentary commissioners accused of awarding themselves an amount of 1.7 billion. The censure process kicked off this week, and that will be one of our focus for discussion this morning, looking at what this means, what could be behind this censure process, and what interests could be at play behind the curtains. But of course, we'll also be looking at the political dynamics ahead of 2026. This week, the Opposition National Unity Platform, the leaders were planning to have a tour of the eastern region, but police blocked their rallies, and that will also be our next topic in the second hour, looking at what this means. Yes, police says they are now going to sit and reconcile. We ask, can police reconcile with the opposition NUP? What does this mean as we head on to 2026? Dr. Geopolitics Wanzara, speak to our viewers. I know you must be interested in what happened in White House as William Ruto met President Joe Biden. I saw very rare scenes in White House as William Ruto was treated in an exceptional manner. Anyway, speak to our viewers before we kick off the show.
Thank you very much, Apple, and of course, thank you for keeping the standards.
Good.
He's a very smart man, always on a suit.
Yeah.
And that's a standard you have established here.
I don't know about that. Because it's like when he's saying that for me, you never put on suits.
No, he says.
Then I am not very smart.
He says it is a standard I have maintained.
As our host.
Of course, of course.
We respect you as a visitor. You can come the way you are dressed, no problem.
Yeah.
We greet you, our viewers. Good morning, especially the people from the Republic of Chirinya.
Wow.
I greet you. The kicks are not as many as other places, probably because we have the Vyakagaba IGP there.
Yeah, the round kicks.
We have, I think we have a lot of military people in Chirinya, so security is still better. But my people in Namisindo are suffering. I will continue talking about it because security has totally collapsed.
Really?
Vuvulo County East and Vuvulo and Namisindwa County. Every day, armed robbery, people wearing uniform, carrying AK-47, Anyone who does any small business, they raid your house and they take everything that you have.
Oh.
And I don't know, it seems like the RDC and others are failing to capture the situation. So government needs to go in, RPC and others.
It's so different from what is happening on the streets of Kampala and...
Well, the difference is Kampala, I call these ones, the petty thieves, and we know where they are located. William Street, we know them. Actually, I don't know why crime intelligence cannot have a lot of operatives there and cycle most of those guys, because the hotspots in Kampala are known, except some isolated places outside the town, the city center. But these ones in Amisindwa is that they go with guns, armed. Okay?
Even in uniform?
Even in uniform, but they go under the cover of the darkness of the night. So we don't know whether it's within, internal, or they cross from the neighboring country and come in, or it's really complicated.
That's a serious matter, you know.
Exactly. Well, apart from that, maybe you told me to comment about
true.
President Ruto's...
What's cooking between Ruto and Biden?
I think for those who don't know, is that Kenya, although has not been very active in military interventions like the Uganda here and there, I call it like a strong, a special U.S. ally in this region. Kenya hosts the U.S. bases, it hosts the Israel bases, and you know, the dynamics of the region are changing. If you look at, say, Uganda, we seem to now side more with countries that are opposed to the West. Of course, we need the West for development, financing, and so forth, but politically, there's a friction between Kampala and some Western countries, and I think you can testify to that. So then U.S. needs another country which is closer to them and which can be empowered to counterbalance with that. You can see among the deals they have signed is giving them over 15 modern military helicopters, 150 armored vehicles, financing the expressway from Nairobi, upgrading the runway in Malindi, at a bay there, what they said, to strengthen security. They've signed things to do with climate change, and then establishing innovation areas for Microsoft, ICT. So for me, and of course, what was more standing is branding Kenya a special ally, non-NATO ally. So you can see that the objectives are geopolitical, to have a new regional ally. Of course, there's nothing special that the U.S. wants to develop Kenya for a certain reason. But these are like throwing G-nuts. If you want to grab chicken, you have to throw some G-nuts, then they move closer to you. Then you can grab them easily. But of course...
Won't that have an effect on the regional integration processes that are going on?
I really don't believe so, because you know that in the EAC protocols, for example, we talked about respecting the individual sovereignty of states. States are free to do what they are supposed to do, including on issues to do with foreign policy, who to cooperate with. So for us, we have to stick to other things that bring us together, things to do with the trade, things to do with the people-to-people exchanges, things to do with the integration through infrastructure. If Kenya develops its infrastructure, it is good for the region.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, Dr. Jedad Wansara. And Richard, it's always an honor to have you. I don't know if you can pick any story of interest and you make a comment before we kick off this big debate.
Thank you very much, Apollo. I have also not missed your consistency of suits on camera. I've also taken, especially when you bring the red shirts.
Yeah.
You know, he reminds us of the UPC days. But as always, it's the Almighty I start with.
That is true.
Yes, we thank God that we are able to be here again. We thank God. Apollo, I do not know if, because I know the viewers may not know, but the latest statistics from Ipsos, the media monitoring giant, puts Salt TV, Salt Radio in excellent positions, nationally, by the way. So I think it's something to celebrate. We need, I think, as institutions, we also need to celebrate our successes.
Okay.
Yeah, Salt Media is a young thing, but to see that it is beating some of the older big
boys.
Yeah, I think for me it's something to celebrate. So I want to thank our viewers.
Yeah, true.
Who really then put us in this position.
Exactly.
Yes, so we thank you for being with us, for going with us. The management, of course, who are the vision bearers, but the staff, I used to be an active journalist. I know what people put in to raise this. So I thought that is something that we should talk about.
Very important.
Yes, that there is a very good job being done. Then I have a lot of sadness, a lot of disappointment. I don't understand this thing called being a Ugandan. The budget has just been passed. One of the things that was done was to increase the excise taxes on water.
Yeah, bottled water.
To increase taxes on fuel. And what also was done, Apollo, which the media will not say, is that actually taxes on beer were reduced.
Wow.
So you increase tax on water and fuel. You say we are struggling to get money, and you reduce tax on alcohol. I don't understand the people in the Ministry of Finance who make this proposal and the parliamentarians who pass this. You know, I am also a tobacco control activist. Apollo, since 2020, we have not had a single increase on a tobacco product. So if the country is really looking for money, you have both tobacco and alcohol, which, by the way, combined, kill about 300 Ugandans every week. And you don't tax them. In fact, you even lower taxes. I think for me, this is treasonous.
As if you are encouraging
that you are increasing the deaths of Ugandans, and you are not even, and you are dying in debt. You know, so I just don't understand how these technocrats in finance and the people in parliament really do. So it's been also for me a very low.
I understand. Thank you so much, Richard Baguma. And Richard Baguma is a communication expert, a very strong advocate for proper nutrition and matters to do with healthy living. Let's kick off the big debate, gentlemen. But of course, we give it to our viewers who have made us who we are and put us where we are, like Baguma said. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can be part of this discussion, like I said. Go to our platforms, make your comments and observations very brief, especially on the topics we are discussing this morning, looking at what is going on in Parliament, members of Parliament, including Honorable Theodore Sechikubo, Honorable Sarah Opendi, Honorable Gonzaga Seungu, Honorable Oshabe Patrick Insamba, and Honorable Arion, a gentleman from Alinga County, all agreed that indeed they should move a motion of censure against the four commissioners, Honorable Solomon Siranyi, Honorable Matthias Mpuga, Honorable Kampulira Prosi, and Honorable Esther Afoyachan. And these commissioners, in 2022, in March, sat in their meeting and resolved to share 1.7 billion in service awards, awarding themselves. And from their document, the petitioners, they say the conduct of these members is an affront to the dignity of Parliament. It degraded public trust and confidence in the institution of Parliament. It amounts to misbehavior. And of course, according to the rules of procedure of Parliament, the Constitution, and the Administration of Parliament Act, they must be impeached. They either step down or face censure. According to Honorable Theodore H. Kubo, the ouster will restore the dignity and integrity of Parliament, but also maintain and strengthen the public trust and confidence in Parliament. That is it. By the close of yesterday, the reports we picked, around 100 MPs had appended their signatures on that list. Of those, of course, the list will support the motion for censure. They are looking for at least 177 signatures to have this censure process move on. But like I said, we'll be exploring what interests are at play in this particular move to censure the 4 commissioners. Dr. Jiredweri Wanzala, what do you read as what could be the interests? Is it fighting corruption? Is it restoring the dignity and integrity of Parliament? What do you make of this move?
First of all, if the action these members are taking is not the first in this very Parliament that a commissioner is going to be removed or is going to be debated to be removed from the commission. As you recall, the Honorable Zake, on a motion brought by the Honorable Ojala Mapinduzi, was brought to Parliament and then sent to the committee, and eventually the Honorable member was removed from the commission. Of course, he went and appealed in court, and he won the case. He did not get an opportunity to go back, so it will not be the first, because the rules of procedure of Parliament provide that there is a way, reasons why commissioners can be removed. Gross misconduct is one of them. The other is if a commissioner loses their parliamentary seat, and therefore they are no longer members of Parliament, or if they are unable for some reasons like health to execute their, they are unable to execute their duties. Now, looking at the reasons for this censure, you recall that the Honorable Sech Kubo, who is leading this, a few weeks back, ever since these matters came up, issues of social corporate responsibility and the Speaker's office, and accusations of sharing money through agents of the Speaker, and other issues like the service award. He's one of those who have been outspoken, and he demanded that these matters should be brought to the House and discussed, because the public trust in the House has really deteriorated. But if I ask myself, has the trust in the institution been there? I think it has been collapsing. If I look back for the last, say, 20 years or 15 years, the people's trust in the Parliament of Uganda is very, very low. And why do I say it? It is manifested in the manner in which the voters are throwing out MPs during elections, that you find the president is remaining one always, but then you find the turnover of the MPs is over 70%,
the attrition
about 80%. So if you go to various communication platforms now, social media, you'll go to conventional media, the traditional media, the letters people write, I think that public trust in the institution of Parliament is very, very low. And the attempts by the Honorable Sech Kubo and colleagues to do this are just one step to try to rebuild the trust, but I believe it will be a long, long process. But whether what they are doing is right or wrong, I believe what they are doing is right. Because we know that one of the cardinal roles of the parliament is to legislate. And one of the principles of law is that a good law should not have eyes, that it should be blind. It should, if it is able to see a civil servant who awards himself, who commits conflict of interest in execution of their mandate, the same law should be able to see a commissioner of parliament or a legislator who also violates the rules and commits conflict of interest. So for me, without being personal against these members, I think I was privy to certain findings somewhere by one of the agencies of the government that investigated this matter when it first came up. And the conclusion was that they need to lose their seats. Yes, I came across it because the institution has not made it public. I will not quote it, but they quoted the violations of the Leadership Code Act, where it is directed that if you are a matter in which you have direct interest is being discussed, you have to excuse yourself, declare your interest, and excuse yourself. But now we see...
Which was not the case.
It was not the case. If you look at the minutes that were signed, you see the speaker chairing. In that particular meeting, of course, the speaker did not award herself, but all these other ones who benefited were part of the meeting and they signed the minutes. So which other evidence do you need beyond that? But maybe the reason why the fight is going to be very strong in Parliament is because withdrawing, moving a successful vote of no confidence in these commissioners is going to directly affect the speaker who chaired the meeting. So I'm not going to expect a smooth move of this motion. I think I expect to see a fight in the coming weeks. And also it will be important whether the president supports the motion, because if he supports it, it will definitely succeed, it will sail through. If he doesn't, most likely it may be fought and collapse.
Honorable Sechikubo has been, like you said, has been pushing that something should be done in relation to getting the issue of service awards brought to the floor and debated. Ever since this matter came up, don't you think possibly he has support from somewhere now that he's bringing it wholesale? He's taking on this humongous task.
Of course, the guerrilla tactics in this country have never gone away. That's why I'm saying that in case there are some forces involved, most likely the motion will succeed. But also, I think the earlier demands by the Honorable Sechikubo to the speaker to table was like telling a monkey to burn a forest, because that's where they live. And if you burn, where are you going? So I think he was very, very careful. But also, if you look at the speed at which these signatures are being collected, probably there is some interest somewhere that we shall see in the coming weeks.
Could it also be possible that Sechikubo is operating on his own, or, I mean, without any influence?
Yeah, it is possible, because you know Honorable Sechikubo is one of those who have been around for some time. He's a very good political chess player who knows when to strike, when to keep quiet. You also know that he was also interested in the speakership and was running on the platform of restoring the integrity and the image of the House. And so I think this gives him an opportunity to say that, you know, maybe you kicked me out, but you can see now what is happening. And so it brings him at the forefront of appearing like he's for promoting accountability, transparency, and of course restoring the image of the House. But in that, you know, one of the greatest advocacy experts we have is Richard here. This gentleman has achieved a lot in the advocacy world around Uganda here. You need to know when to strike, what are your objectives, and then you need very, very good allies. If you bring bad allies, most likely you'll not go anywhere.
Oh.
Maybe that's why we are seeing people on both sides working together.
All right, thank you so much for that submission. And Richard, the issue of service awards had somehow died out slowly. Here it is back again, and I think much serious than it was before.
I just want to, maybe you two gentlemen know. I just want to be informed. When was the service awarded? A service award awarded? Was it 2022?
2022.
Yeah. Does anybody wonder why it didn't matter until now? I'm just asking because you see, I wonder many times if we who view these programs, who make comments, if we think about some of these things. Because what seems to be out is that the service award is a recent thing. The service award is not a recent thing. So how come there was no interest?
Then?
Yeah, in the service award, it was okay. Service award. So, for me, first, the service award, the action itself, but also the amounts are insignificant in the whole scheme of things. Yeah, it's
500 million for Puga, 400 million for each of the other three commissioners.
Yeah, it's not a significant amount. Apparently, if you look at the current budget of Parliament, I want you to check there how much money there is for clothes.
Is it around
it's about
280 million?
Yeah, it's about more than $250 million shillings for clothes in Parliament. Just about the same amount as one commissioner took as a service award. So I think we need to sometimes look beyond what is on the surface. That's the first thing. The second thing, Apollo.
What do you mean by the matter taking long to surface? And you're saying, are you saying possibly it was kept a secret until a reason came up for it to come out?
No, I don't think it was a secret. How? How do you even keep it a secret? It was not a secret. So that is the first thing. The second thing, Apollo, is if you have a censure motion for MPs across parties, and you see, this thing, Honorable Sechikubo, he's not a paragon of cleanliness. No, he's not.
Does it matter?
He's not an angel. Yeah, because you see, the messenger can sometimes be as important as the message. Sometimes more important than the message. So, but he has been confident and consistent in pushing the speaker.
On matters of integrity of Parliament?
In pushing the speaker. He has been confident. There are not too many MPs who are confident to push the speaker. So, where does he get the power to push the speaker? Where does he get?
Are you also...
No, I just ask these questions so
know,
that we reflect on them.
Are you also somehow agreeing with those who think that he may be acting under the external influence?
It would not be the first time he's doing that, if he is. It wouldn't be. The other thing is, what is the impact of a successful censure of these people on the people who preside over Parliament, who chaired that committee? What is the impact? If they censure these, are you part of this mischief? Therefore, are you a candidate for censure?
Sechikubo made it clear in his statement. He said, in his own statements, he said, we are not going for anyone else. We want these 4 commissioners to be held accountable.
I am not. Don't tell me about the Honorable Sechikubo. For me, I'm not looking at him in this. I'm saying the action of censuring the 3 or 4, whoever, however many. If you successfully censure, the arguments and reasons, if they are upheld, do they therefore expose the chair of the commission?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
They do.
Yeah. So who is your real target? For me, when I go to assess, I think the real target is the chair of the commission. I think the chair of the commission had accumulated so much power that it has to be managed. You need to ask yourself, and these are the questions I'm putting. How would this censure motion, about some amount of money, not the most threatening amount of money, that you have 500 billion shillings, more than 500 billion shillings, you give it to a private entity, which has been given money before, and grass is growing around it. You are trying to build a factory for what? Was it pharmaceuticals or something? The man puts on a hat like of Wanzara. Yes, there's that man who puts on a hat like of Wanzara here. You give him some billions, you come to the site and grass is growing. You give him another 500 plus billions. And this 170 is the most, is the one shaking the entire house, the foundations. So you see, Apollo, we have to ask ourselves these questions. That after several years, this thing has become, and this censure motion has, in a matter of how many hours, accumulated 100 signatures.
That's what they told us yesterday.
Where did these people come from, drive to come sign? What is the interest?
Because Parliament is in recess.
Is in recess. This is the point I'm raising. Parliament is in recess. A lot of these people run to the constituencies because campaigning has started, they are under threat. So how come they are all there rushing to sign? So for me, I think this censure motion is way beyond this, talk here.
If your suspicions are true, but indeed it's not about 1.7 billion shillings, it's about trimming the powers of the Speaker. Do you see it moving and possibly succeeding?
It need not succeed. No. It need not succeed. If I'm dealing with you and I can demonstrate to you that I have the capability to put you in a position I want, I can also preserve you because you are useful to me. So it need not succeed. No. The message is already communicated. Yeah.
So it's a multiplicity of interests in this.
They are not multiplicity. The principal interests are clear. These others are agents, in my view. But the major interest, in my view, is please calm down. Calm down, madam, please. The star cannot attempt to shine more than the sun, where it gets its light from.
But if it is true, the Madam Speaker has been going through turbulent times. I mean,
thank you.
She has that
you see, there is a bus parked here, and they say the missing bus, the missing parliamentary bus. Was there a missing parliamentary bus? And this is what on social media, the missing parliamentary bus. And I'm supposed to read it. So why do you invite me if I read that and believe it? And you call me communication expert? Yes, I know on the other side the communications experts who are carrying out a very powerful, well choreographed, well thought through disinformation campaign are successful.
Thank you. Quickly, viewers, you can be part of this discussion. Send your comments and observations on 0701 609906 609906 WhatsApp messages and regular messages on the short messaging platform or SMS. Do it. We'll be reading those messages in 5 minutes from now. Doctor, if we go by the suspicions raised by your neighbor and the censure motion is targeting the head of the house, she has been going through a lot. She has stood her ground. And here now the censure motion is kicked off. Where will it end? How do you see it, panning out? Won't she collapse? Isn't she reading the signs? Can't she read the signs and possibly tone down?
Of course, tone down, go and kneel. Yeah, tone down what? Go kneel.
Of course, I don't want to believe that she's not intelligent. She's intelligent, very intelligent, and she knows what is going on around her. And this was demonstrated during the opening of her hospital in Bukedia, where she publicly told the president that
you are the only person
you are
who
the
can
only one
save
who
me.
understands me, Muzee. The others, they don't know my value. It's you who knows my value. So I think her strongest weapon is to go to the same. And then this is what the kneeling that he's talking about. And you say, please, you are the only one who can save me because of this. Otherwise, so many forces, both external out of the country and internal, are against me. But also, if I was in her position, I would reflect probably on how I've been doing certain things. Because certain things really expose. I'll give one example. If, for instance, under the social corporate responsibility, because there are citizens in Bukedia who also listen to my radio station, probably I wouldn't be directly involved to ensure that my radio station benefits from the funds. That exposes you, and therefore you become a target for so many people. She studied financial management. She worked in the bank. I'm very sure she understands issues of conflict of interest. So for me, I don't want to go against her because I have nothing personal against her. But probably I would sit and reflect and say, is there something?
No, there is a very recent incident from Makerere University, the exam saga, and you would expect that possibly, but well, she responded in a positive way, but I mean more dust is being raised around her.
For me, I think she responded maturely to that. Let me tell you, academic activism and then academic freedom in the world is real. If you went to the United States, for instance, now, all these cases that have been surrounding Donald Trump, be it on hash money, be it on falsifying business books, and then being convicted by the New York prosecutor and others, they end up in Harvard Law School, in Columbia University, and then they become case studies. So for me, the way she responded, I think, was
yes,
very,
she responded positively, but people have not really appreciated that Professor Nawangwe was acting, but I mean, in his own decision.
I think Professor Nawangwe was the head of an institution, and especially also the context under which we are working, or we are is leading, he was maybe right to move in, and his letter was that let's investigate if there were maybe any ethical ground that were broken, ethical rules. And then of course MUASA, Makerere University's Academic Staff Association and others said no, this is academic freedom, don't tamper with us. But as a head of an institution, probably he was right in his own way, because you know he's not a lawyer, he's an engineer. And certain things you have to seek interpretation by others for you to get the right. But if you go into that fighting again, you escalate and you turn things negative. For me, her response was perfect.
So you both agree that the censure motion might not be targeting the 4 commissioners, but may be targeting somebody else.
But for me, I also would like to comment on this Professor Nawangwe leadership of Makerere.
The Vice Chancellor.
I think Professor Nawangwe behaves like a head teacher of a religious high school. Yeah. I think his approach to life is clamp, 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 clamp. Yeah. So, and when you clamp, and you get away with it for a long time, you get used to it.
You think it's...
yeah, that's the way to go.
It's the way to go.
And so I think this was just one of those cases. His clamp approach. The speaker, I think this time was properly advised.
Okay.
Say, please, do not open another front. You already have enough fronts to deal with. Don't open another front. Let me tell you where you know that this campaign is really quite well planned. If you have a paper in Makerere, and then another appears from Bishop Stewart University. I don't think there was even a paper like that in Bishop Stewart University. How possible is it that 2 lecturers would be thinking the same way like that? So who is behind this campaign? For me, I don't want to really sit here and as if I have not lived here, as if I have not operated in, he was talking about advocacy areas, to operate, to move things and change them when you are dealing with industries like the alcohol industry, the tobacco industry, the drugs industry, the very powerful food industry. When we talk about nutrition, people don't realize that we are dealing with Coca-Cola, with Pepsi-Cola, with the food supplement industry. You learn sometimes how these people who operate can really destroy you, seemingly from a very legitimate moral high ground.
Wow. Well, viewers, that's it, and I'll be looking at your messages, like Kenneth from Nyabihongo. I don't know which place is that, but I mean which part of the country is that? But he said, thank you so much for the program. We are just enjoying, and the panelists are spot on. It is indeed the work of the mafias who want to destroy the lady from Bukedea. Well, it is your opinion. And we look at, okay, I think this one also is appreciating the program. Well, get those messages, keep them coming in. We'll be reading them as we move on. But let's conclude on this matter.
There's one interesting issue I did not bring out.
Bring it out.
When the term of these current commissioners ended, you know they were to serve 2.5 years. They had been, the NRM especially, were in the caucus, and then they demanded from the president that they should be electing their own commissioners. And the resolution was passed. Now, when the term of these commissioners was ending, they were told to apply. I can assure you, I don't know whether it is the service award that had triggered the interest, because over 200 people applied
to be commissioners.
For 3 positions. Because the other commissioners are by virtue
Speaker,
of the position you hold.
The Prime Minister, Minister of Finance,
Leader of Opposition. So for the government basically had 3 electable positions. but over 200 people applied. So when the
service
president
awards could have motivated.
yeah, let me conclude. So when the president sat with his sec, I think he said, for how long am I going to talk to review these CVs applications?
I ask you to comment on the response from the NRM Secretariat. I heard, is it Honorable Maladombo saying that this motion should have sought, the petitioners should have sought clearance from the organs of the party before they move, of which they didn't do, which somehow made it clear that possibly the party may not be in position to support the censure motion.
But you know how this country operates. The president can have the NRM, the Honorable Dombos, with due respect, sitting at Nakasero, and then only the office of the national chairman, led by Namialo, is running and setting up other parallel structures and so forth. So if they believe that all the time their structures are respected, I doubt this. That's a fact. And so that's why we are saying that probably Honorable Sechkubo's motion could have been generated somewhere. It doesn't necessarily have to,
to go through the party structures.
I think Honorable Dombo is still reflecting the other caucus meeting where they also resolved that any private member's bill or motion
should be originate
from the caucus. But you remember they took that decision even on homosexuality law, and then it was given to Basari, who was in the opposition, brought it and said,
okay. There is no smoke without fire. Just like one guy said, what goes up will come down at one point. The speaker was moving at a terrific speed. She had become untouchable. So the mafia in the government are at work now. Let her calm down, stay low, and focus on parliamentary work. This world, if you want peace, don't comment about everything and anything that doesn't affect you directly. Honorable Sechkubo, Sarah Seung, and the group should continue with their censure motion, whether it's allowed on the order paper or not. They would have done their part, and the NRM Secretariat should leave issues of Parliament alone. As Mr. Richard said, we need an end of your party. Wow, the Salt Media Management is watching. We have only for sending in those comments. Kent also says they are watching. Thank you so much, and all those who are on that WhatsApp group, you are following, and it gives us the energy to of course move on. Let's keep those messages coming in, and we'll be reading them out. Like somebody who is saying, okay, he's saying the petitioners have actually come up with a good idea to promote their thing, saying the motion will distinguish those who are for the people and who are not for the people is a very good strategy to get support, and we hope it goes on and becomes a success. Your name, Mwijuche, yes, Mwijuche Ronald, thank you so much for that message, and that's what I want to put to Dr. Werihe. They said this motion, the censure will distinguish MPs who are for the people against those who are not for the people. Do you think this will somehow play a bigger part in mobilizing support for this motion? Won't it, at this during this political period, won't that somehow cajole the members to sign and support the motion?
I don't think that would be the motivation, because if I look back, maybe for the benefit of the viewers, that there's a time the Parliament of Uganda became a problem to the president. For instance, we had a case during the speakership of the late James Wapakabulu, when the minister by then of transport, Chirunda Chivejinja, was accused of diverting 2,000 liters of diesel, just imagine, just only 2,000 liters of diesel from Uganda Railways Corporation to his campaign in Busoga. And then within a few days, and the process was being driven by young members of parliament by then, Major Rabon, the people like that, the Ekanyas, and a few others, Winnie Byanyima, and so forth. Within a few days, the Honorable Chivejinja, because he was all over the newspapers, himself, he ran and resigned and abandoned. He resigned and said, in the public interest, let me step aside. We had a similar case of the Honorable Matthew Ruchikaire, who was a
during the
minister
privatization.
Exactly. He was accused of influence peddling, influencing decisions in privatization. He did not wait to be sacked or to be censored. He resigned. We saw the case of the former vice president, the Honorable Special Zawandira Kaziwe. When the parliament was up against her because of the Ghost Valley dams, and the president had to run and drop her from the portfolio of agriculture and leave her as the vice president because Agric is where they were accusing her of delivering 0 valley dams. And then we had the issues of Otafire drew a gun in a bar at the Honorable Sam Kutesa's wife. And when the news things came in the newspaper, he resigned from them. But today, I think people have grown a thick skin. And then also, the moment maybe they sign, they fear they will be not benefit from certain benefits. So, for me, either way, it may succeed depending on some factors. But not necessarily saying that they are fearing the public. No.
The public pressure from the public.
Currently, our leaders don't fear the public at all because the behavior has changed that the more money you amass, then you can be able to go and bribe the voters and come back to parliament.
That's very unfortunate.
So it is now transactional politics, and for me, this is the sad part of it.
Wow. Thank you. I kindly request the producers to run that number on the screen so that members can contribute. I am good. Big man, I am Chirunji Michael. Okay, son of, okay. He says, I'm patiently waiting. Okay, thank you.